everyone, I'm Amanda Garguilo, your host. Welcome to Amanda on the Islands. Right now we have an exclusive update with the wonderful attorney, Richard Luthmann, about the trial by combat case. I'm going to let you take it away because I want to know exactly what happened and what the decision was.
Okay. Well, we have in the case, and I do have my outfit on. You may be wondering about the outfit. I'll address that to begin with in the very beginning. I have recently been elevated by acclamation to King of Staten Island. And there's another episode, 8 Days Productions, will be putting out of my kingship. So I am now a warrior king by virtue of the trial by combat and the Game of Thrones case. But I will talk to you today about the Game of Thrones case. So we're here in my throne room, I guess.
Yeah,
with my sword and my shield and everything else.
And I have my your shield on.
That's a breastplate. It's a breastplate. It's actually very nice. Yeah. Very nice breastplate. And so we're here today to talk about the case. And so I must say that in the very beginning that the case has been resolved. And so we resolved the case. And so there is a confidentiality provision with respect to the case. And so the confidentiality provision with respect to the case says that there was no blood spilled in the making of the settlement, and we agreed to resolve the case. And so I can't talk much more about that, the terms thereof, but I can talk about what happened just before the settlement was reached by the parties. And just before the settlement was reached, there was a decision, and the decision was in the Supreme Court, the copy right here, the Supreme Court of Richmond County, by the great Justice Philip Minardo, who was one of the most renowned justices, actually, in probably the history of the Richmond County Supreme Court. We've had a lot of justices, and he's been a great public servant. Before he was a Supreme Court justice, he was a practicing attorney and a assistant district attorney, prosecutor. And he's been on the bench for many years, and he's actually going to be on the bench probably a little bit longer, but then he's probably going to retire pretty soon because there's a mandatory retirement in New York State. But he wrote this opinion after I made the application to the court to say, well, you know, I think that I should be able to ask the judge, a Supreme Court justice, for a duel by judicial decree. And I said, Judge, I walked through the courtroom, I said, Judge, you know, a manner in which a Supreme Court justice, an elected Supreme Court justice, because in New York State, the Supreme Court justice is an elected official, elected by a county-wide election. The power of that Supreme Court justice that goes all the way back to the British magistrates and the common law. And the power is not diminished one bit by the Supreme Court justice to resolve a case or a controversy before that justice by the fact that little old Luthmann, some schmuck named Luthmann, makes an application. I don't take any power away from a judge to do that. The judge always had that power. And if you look at the opinion that Justice Minardo wrote, he basically agreed with me. He says that a Supreme Court justice in the state of New York, an elected Supreme Court justice, elected by the people, could choose to resolve a case or controversy before them by trial by combat. He said that my motion for trial by combat was denied, and specifically my request for trial by combat was denied, although the court does not deny that such power resides within the Supreme Court. This matter shall be ultimately decided by trial by jury or judge. So what he said was, you're not getting trial by combat in this case, but I'm not saying that that trial by combat isn't available under New York law. And that's what I said from the very beginning. I just didn't get it in this case. Now, had I, the case continued, I was going to take this up to the appellate court and see what the appellate court said, because they can, bring in a lot of, a lot of different legal authority, and I'd have an appellate brief, and there'd be a panel of judges, and we'd get a decision there. But it didn't get to that because the case got settled. But it's still my firm belief, and this is legal precedent right here that backs me, that trial by combat is available, is an available remedy, and there's a trend towards this that we see in the United States today. There's the people say, you know, people say violence isn't the answer. And that's true. Violence usually isn't the answer, but it could be an answer. Especially when you see some of this political discourse we have nowadays.
Right.
You know, I think it would be a lot easier to select a nominee for certain political parties if you put them all into a battle royal and see who gets that. Because it's really no different than what we've seen the past few months, you know, with a lot of these people. So, but, you know, that's what's going on. So, that's where we are with this.
Which is very exciting. So the case is done. This is it.
The case is behind me.
Okay.
The case is behind the other guys. We're done with the case. Now this is not, it's an issue that hasn't been fully litigated, so if there's ever a situation where someone believes that their honor was so violated that they would be willing, like I was, to really put it all on the line, then I think they could petition the court themselves for this relief, so we'll see.
Okay, and now you've been crowned the king.
I am the king. It's good to be the king.
Yeah,
You know that.
I know.
It's very good to be the king. Now, I'm the king. It was excellent. It was a Star Network, and they had the Kings of Staten Island, excellent event over at the Hilton Garden Inn. And myself and several other leaders in business and in communities in Staten Island were crowned Kings of Staten Island. And it was a very, very fun night. It was really an excellent time. And so now I'm going to take my accolades as the King of Staten Island and go forth and be a beneficent, you know, king. And I'm a kind of gentler Richard Luthmann. You know, I told that. You know, I have another attorney that I deal with from time to time with a lot of stuff. I deal with the Democratic Party, Manny Ortega. And you know, I told him before I became the king, I wouldn't listen to a pander of truce from your channel. But now that I've become a king, I have to really talk to everyone and be a humble king and a benevolent king and listen to panders of truce from every person, even my favorite people who I wouldn't have done so before. So it's made me I think a better person to be king. It's good to be the king.
It is. I'm excited to have been able to spend this time with you and to get the update.
That's right.
To update the viewers.
That's right.
These are important things.
It's very, very important. So it's going to be good stuff. And you know, everything is going very well. You know, the practice of law is going well. We're having a really good time. We're doing a lot of great stuff in the community too. So keep on the lookout. We're doing some good stuff with Albanese and 8 Days Productions. We're having a couple of events, and you'll probably see them on the news coming up. And we have done some great stuff with the New York City Art Cipher, NYC Art Cipher, and Charlie Balducci. We're doing some great stuff there. Also, great work with the Richmond County Kiwanis Club. I am the vice president now of the Richmond County Kiwanis Club, and I will be the president next year. And we're going to be having a lot of fun with what we do with the Kiwanis. And when I'm not, you know, slicing people apart in my trial by combat, we try to help out the community, help out the kids. Also, we're bringing community mayors to Staten Island. John Salazzo is the community mayor of all of Staten Island. I'm the community mayor of Castle Corners, and we help disabled children all throughout the city. The biggest event is Operation Santa Claus in December, so we'll be doing that. But by and large, you know, we'll keep the trial by combat stuff going. And, you know, we'll see. I'm thinking about writing maybe a law review article or, you know, something like that. A nice little article for lawyers that may want to follow in my footsteps down this path of, you know, to slicing and dicing, swashbuckling method of the practice of law. We'll see.
Okay, well, I'll be checking in with you constantly, as often as I can. And I want to thank everybody for joining us for this incredible update on the trial by combat case. And we'll see you again. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining us. Until next time.
I was waiting for the until now.